Hello, this is Tony Gordon from T. Gordon Salon Talks, and I'm excited today to bring you Brian Gilbert. Brian, how are you doing?
Terrific.
Great.
Good to be here.
For those of you who don't know, Brian has been in the beauty world for 30 years prior to his current career, but 30 years, owned multiple salons, and has developed a sales technique for hairdressers that includes some of the most advanced thinking around neuro-linguistic programming. You'll explain to everybody what that is. Mm-hmm. And you know, I love the what you told me, that when you had your salon, you were investigated for diversion because you were selling so much product. They thought you must be selling this off to somebody else, right, or whatever. But your sales were so huge, right, that's really what was happening in the salon. You basically taught the whole staff how to use your techniques.
That's correct. And it was funny because I was more surprised than anybody when they came in and they said, we're here from, I don't know if you want me to mention the product, but we're here because
it was Aveda.
We don't support diversion, and you're a small salon, and we are trying to understand why you're ordering so much product every week. Uh-huh. And I said, well, that's because we're selling so much product every week. And I invited them to watch how my stylist mm-hmm. sold the clients. And they said, wow, you are selling a lot of product. And we were outperforming in sales salons that were, 100 times our size. I mean, I had 5 stylists mm-hmm. At that time. We had one facial person, a couple of shampoo girls, and a receptionist. And myself.
A classic, smaller or medium-sized salon, and it was in Chicago.
Yeah, which
mm-hmm.
I like to call a boutique salon. Mm-hmm. And it was fashioned after the salons that I'd seen in Europe, specifically London, because originally I'm from England. Sorry, I don't have the accent, but I could talk like this if you like, right? But that's where I'm from originally. So I used that as the pattern to build my salon. Mm-hmm. When I was training the salespeople, I noticed, the stylists, I noticed that stylists do not like to sell.
Right.
And
it's almost like a swear word.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to sell product to make money. My services and my styling techniques speak for themselves.
Right.
I make my money as a stylist. I'm an artist, not a salesperson.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many times I heard that. I wish I had a nickel for every time I heard that. And you know what? It still holds true today.
Right. It is true.
Nothing in the industry. Well, a lot of things have changed. Technology has changed. Mm-hmm. Chemistry has changed to a certain part, but it's still pretty basic stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, knowing this, I was able to sell mm-hmm. a lot more product than my stylists. So their thinking was, well, the only reason you sell it is because you buy it and you want to get rid of it. Uh-huh. I said, well, there's a profit margin in that.
Yeah.
And if we sell enough product can pay your rent, it can pay for classes, it can pay for equipment, mm-hmm. it can pay for supplies. It's another income stream.
Yeah, a lot of people say that selling product is more profitable than doing services. I think it's debatable, but for sure, the reasons to sell product are big.
Well, back in the day when I had my salon, we were charging back then $35 to $60 for a haircut. Uh-huh. Okay, depending on your level of experience. We would sell to some clients, presented the right way, after getting a haircut or a hair service, mm-hmm. $100, $150 worth of product.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the secret?
Well, there really is no secret. First of all, you have to have an open mind. Like anything else, you have to say, look, I'm going to open my mind and I'm going to see what there is to be learned to know how to sell these products or to sell these services, because mm-hmm. it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. You could just increase the number of services.
Right. You can increase your services. You can increase your retail sales. What you're really doing is mm-hmm. you're selling yourself. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. And you don't ask for a sale, you earn a sale.
You earn it.
You earn it. Okay? And by using specific or particular language patterns, word tracks, physical expressions, you can enhance the service and you can produce a sale.
Okay.
So in technical terms, they call that NLP, which stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And neuro-linguistic programming is the language of the mind. You may say something one way, but it's accepted another way. And I'll give you an instance. Have you ever said something to somebody and they look at you and they go, "What do you mean by that?" And you didn't mean to insult them, but they took it as an insult.
Right.
And why did they do that? Because they perceived it to be a certain way, but you didn't mean it that way. And because you didn't understand how language works and language is accepted by the brain, it came off the wrong way.
Right.
By the same token, when you understand how it works, what it does, what it means, how it's accepted, you can turn your language into a phenomenal tool to achieve what you want. Now, you've all heard that there are books out there, The Pickup Artist, How to Talk Your Way Out of a Ticket, How to Influence
used
People.
that one yesterday.
Yeah. How to influence people, by saying something a certain way. That's all basically NLP. Now, NLP, some people will relate to hypnotic language patterns.
Okay.
And there is a very gray area there, and it's debatable, but we don't need to get into that. For practical purposes, let's just call it what it is. We'll call it neuro-linguistic programming. The language of the brain, how the brain hears something, how it accepts something, how when you say something using certain body language, it comes across. So the first thing that I would teach my stylists in a selling technique is never ask for the sale and never ask a question where somebody can say to you no. Because if they say no, you're cut. That's it. You're done.
What about these either or questions? Like, would you like to come in on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Well, those are great questions because you're not giving the person the opportunity to refuse. You're just giving them a choice.
So those are okay.
Yeah. Would you like to sit in that chair or that chair?
Either way, you're sitting.
You're sitting. Right. Exactly. Now, the other great benefit to being a stylist is you have at your disposal something that almost no other business has. Usually when somebody greets somebody in business, they put their hand out, "Hi, my name's Brian, very nice to meet you." They shake hands.
Yeah.
That's the physical contact. However, as a stylist, you may shake hands with somebody, introduce yourself, but then they sit in your chair and you're now touching their shoulders, you're touching their hair. You're as close can be. That's actually intimate contact. Now, and I'm not taking it to, a ridiculous level, but that's intimate contact, and they're allowing you into their
space,
their
sphere, personal zone,
their personal zone, their sphere of influence. You're influencing them because now you're talking to them about how you're going to style their hair, and they're listening to you. So their mind is open. You are suggesting, let's do this. Let's take your hair down to this level. Let's cut it shoulder length. Let's put a few highlights in here. You're not saying we're going to do it. You're suggesting it, and you're waiting for them to give you, "Oh, I like that. That's good. That's good." And the more they nod their head yes, the more they're accepting what you're saying. Now, if you want to get them to accept what you're saying faster and easier as you're suggesting it, you nod your head yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a physical cue.
Entrainment.
You can call it whatever you like. But it's a physical cue that you're sending to the client that they're accepting, and they're thinking in their mind, "I like what they're saying. This sounds good," because you're giving them a positive vibe. At the same time, you may be touching their shoulder.
Right.
like this, and you're going through their hair, and you're explaining, and you're touching their face. This will blend with your facial features. This will enhance your bone structure. It puts more emphasis on your eyes. By the way, your eyes are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
You can say things like that to people because compliments lower their inhibitions. Okay.
Their defenses
are lowered, and they're more open to hearing things. Who doesn't like a nice compliment?
Right.
Oh, thank you.
And then
thank
they
you.
want more.
And then they want more.
Yes.
And the more that they want, the more open they are, and the less guarded they are. Now, I'm not suggesting by any means that you say things to push your client into doing things. It's more like guiding them. You're leading them down a path. Turn right, turn left. If you give them choices, and we start to talk about this, don't say, "Do you want this?" They could say, "No, you're closed out." You could say, "Which one do you like better? Do you like the blue one, or do you like the red one?" Now, is there a possibility to say, "Gee, I don't like either"? However, if they say, "If you like the blue, do you like the blue or do you like the red?" They go, "Well, I don't like either. What color do you like?" So you've brought it back on track again. So never let them cut the conversation off. Always ask questions that they have to answer positively or yes. And one of the exercises, and I think I told you about this in one of our previous conversations, is see if you can do this for 1 minute where you your stylists can interact with each other. It's role playing, where they ask each other questions, and they can only ask questions that end in an answer saying yes.
Yes.
And you
like,
say,
are you wearing a gray shirt today?
Yes. Well, it might be a shade of gray. I don't know. But I'm colorblind. It looks green. No, it's okay. But you don't want to make it so obvious that you're building that rapport. What you want to do is you want to ask questions in normal conversational patterns to develop a yes or positive flow. I see you set up an appointment. Your appointment was for 5 o'clock today, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you see, we're talking about they're coming in here. Oh, your appointment was for 5 o'clock today. I say yes. And you say yes with them. You're coaching them, and you're guiding them, and you're leading them, and you're pacing them. Now, if you want to get into the real technical part of it, you can have a customer follow your breathing pattern. This is called mirroring. And there's a technique called mirroring neurons, which means as you're doing something, the other person kind of grabs onto it and they start doing the same thing. So as you're talking, if you take a nice deep breath, which is relaxing, and you ask that question, and you ask the question on the exhale, as they exhale, they're relaxing, and you'll get a positive response. Okay, so it's
a very timed.
Yeah, but you learn how to do it. Look, it's similar to, we were talking about working out. It's similar to working out, okay? Working out is a discipline, okay? When you lift weights, you don't just like pick up the heaviest weight you can go and just start, like going crazy. There's a pattern to the lift, there's a movement, there's a count, and there's breathing.
Right.
Okay? So there's a technique and there's a pace. You can do slow lifting, you can do fast lifting, you can do lightweight lifting, you can do heavy lifting, but there's a pace to it. And it's the same with this. There's a pace to selling. So the biggest thing that you want to do with people is you want to make a friend. And once you've made a friend, it's difficult for somebody to say no to a friend or somebody that they like. So you can use very simple language patterns when you're working on selling something. Now, I'm going to make this really obvious to you, but this is a sentence that you can use. So you're showing somebody a product, and they're thinking about it, and you can say to them, well, Mrs. So-and-so, or if it depends if you're on a first name basis or not. Well, Tony, I know by now, like me, you've made the right decision. So what did I say? I know by now, not B-Y, your brain can hear it as B-U-Y. You've made the right decision. But I also put in like me, and I emphasize by now and like me. So now you buy now because you like me. So we just I reinforced the friendship. So it's a very simple little strategy.
Right.
But it works most of the time. You don't just say, well, I know by now, like me, you're not going to do it.
By now, like me, you've made the right decision.
Or I know you, like me, by now, have made the right decision. This is what you want. This is the way it works. Look how great your hair looks. I was working for a salon. I was in between buildings, and so I rented a chair at a salon on Michigan Avenue. The woman there, funnily enough, her husband was in the car business. He owned a big car dealership, which I had nothing to do with at the time. But they had about 12 stylists there. And she was always having contests. And so I was kind of learning my way around, how they work, their clients and things like that. I brought my clients into the salon too. And she announced the contest. So the contest she announced was, whoever sells the most product will get a week at my condo in Mexico.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And it was in Puerto Vallarta.
Wonderful.
And airfare included.
Okay, this is a pretty good contest.
This was a great contest.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, well, I want to win this contest because I want to go on vacation.
Nowadays, she couldn't run a booth rental.
Right.
It's against the IRS rules, right?
So I put a little sign on my station, and I printed it out on the computer, didn't make it fancy. And here's what everybody else had: pictures of their family, their friends, places they've been, stuff plastered all over the mirror, which is okay to a point, but I do find it distracting.
Yes.
But this sign said, ask me how to make your hair look as great at home as it does in the salon.
So they started to discuss it with you.
So I'm working on their hair, and I'd always put tool by the sign because people follow your actions. So I'm putting the scissors, I put the scissors down for a second. I put the brush down for a second.
Right by the sign.
And you make a little noise. Like that, see? So if they're looking here, they're looking, where's the noise coming from? They see the sign. And they go, oh, how does that work? How does what work? How do I get my hair to look as good at home as it does in the salon? I'm glad you asked me that question. Remember when we put you over at the shampoo bowl and they used that nice shampooing technique on you, and there was a nice massage going on?
Yes.
A scalp massage. And remember how nice that smelled and how wonderful your hair felt after they used the conditioner on you and they work that through your hair.
Yes, I like that.
And it felt good. It smelled good. It was so relaxing. Didn't it feel great?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you use this program at home, here's what's going to happen. It's going to feel just as good. And if you continue using it, it's going to feel even better because it's going to build and it's going to just get better and better and better. So it'd be like me coming to your house and doing your hair. See? Okay, so here, we're 6 weeks between visits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, this would last you at least 6 weeks. Now, the conditioning portion of it, you don't use as much as you use the shampoo. So that's going to last twice as long, okay? Now, I only want you to use a quarter size of the shampoo. You see what I'm doing here is I'm training them now.
Right.
So the more I train them and the more information I'm giving the customer on how to use the product, the more difficult is it for him to say, oh, I don't want it. Because I've gone to all this trouble to explain to them how to use something that's going to benefit them. And of course, each time I'm nodding my head, yes. And if you use just a quarter size, number one, it'll last longer, which will save you money in the long run. You won't have any waste. Number two, your hair will feel and smell fantastic. It'll repair this and it'll close that and do this.
Yes.
Then when you use this conditioner, now don't use the conditioner. I don't want you to use a quarter size because your hair doesn't need that much. Use the size of a dime. Things people can relate to.
Right.
Because the more they can relate to, the more comfortable they become. And while I'm doing that, I'm putting the product in their hand and they're holding it.
So they're holding the bottle the product itself?
No, the product. They're holding the product, the bottle in their hand. Yeah. I take their hand like I would go like this, and I would say about a quarter size. I'd go like that. Okay. So.
And then you take the product and
put it in their hand. And the reason you do that is, again, you're making physical contact. So now you're in their sphere of influence. Normally they say 6 feet. 3 feet. As you the
but you're a
closer
hairdresser. You're already in the zone.
You're already in the zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's okay for you to pick up their hand and say, like this, and then put the product. They're holding it in their hand.
Right.
So once they're holding it in their hand, subconsciously, they're owning it. Once they own it, they can't let go of it. Right. Another technique to do is when you're doing your base consultation and you're saying, a lot of people say, okay, just go over to the shampoo bowl, get shampooed. That is the worst thing you can ever do because you've lost them at that point. Between the chair and the shampoo bowl, you've lost them. So what you do is, you take a look at their hair. If your chair, you've got somebody else in the chair, you use another chair that's available. If that chair's not available, excuse yourself from whoever you're working with for just a moment. Walk your client over to the shampoo bowl and then start to say, okay, today we're going to use such and such shampoo on you.
Even if you're giving it to an assistant to do.
Right.
It's like a warm transfer.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I'm going to have the assistant, I'm going to have Jane shampoo your hair with this shampoo. I think that's going to be the best for your hair, looking at and feeling the texture of your hair. I'm going to have her do this condition. And you know what we're going to do today, I know we haven't done it for a while, but I think we need to do a deep conditioner before we do this because we're going to be doing some chemical treatments to you. So we're going to do this prior to the chemical treatment. So she's going to take care of you. I'm going to leave you in her good hands. I train my shampoo assistant to have small bottles of everything that we use there. And as we're using it, they hand the bottle, oh, smell this. And they're taking the bottle. Now they're holding it. Right. And I say, do not take it out of their hand. This is
like a salon dance. I mean, the whole salon is dancing. The shampoo techs, everybody's dancing.
Everybody's on the same wavelength. Right. Everybody's on the same pattern. And after she's through being conditioned and shampooed and everything, she comes back to the chair and guess what? She's holding those shampoo bottles. And she doesn't even realize it, or he doesn't even realize it.
That's great.
They don't realize.
So they walk over from the shampoo bowl with
the products
with
in their
the
hand.
product bottles. Yeah.
And subconsciously, they've accepted it. Okay? And now you're just reinforcing that.
Right.
Now, you don't want to oversell, because you can get to a point where you're saying you're trying to sell so much that what happens is you kill yourself.
Yes.
They say, you know what, this is too much, I don't want it. So don't overload their brain, because overload, if you use it the right way, it can be your friend, but it could also be an enemy.
Yes.
Okay, so know your boundaries, know how far you can go, know when to stop,
right,
and when to start.
If you know that client on the last visit, and this is the thing about being a hairdresser, it's really about relationship and it's consultative, right?
Exactly.
But if you have good records, which everybody nowadays uses computers, you can see that last time they were in, they bought that shampoo conditioner. Now you can focus in on something else,
right?
Hairsprays or something else,
right? Exactly.
With the same ideas,
right? And you can always build on it. But again, it doesn't matter that you've established rapport with them before. The fact that you've established rapport, again, makes it easier to reestablish rapport when they come in. What I used to do is I used to have a card file. I still have some of my old books. I'll have to dig it up.
You mean like a physical, like a 3x5 card kind of a thing?
Yeah. And I'd write in there their birth date, when they visited, and what services they had. And then I'd always put something that we talked about. in there. So
Yeah.
I talk about if they had kids, oh, my son's birthday is coming up, I put that in, or my anniversary's coming up, or blah blah blah, whatever. I'm going out to dinner at this restaurant. I'm really excited, or we're
Right.
going to Ravinia, and the next time they come in, I look at that card and I see, oh, they were in they were in July 20th. Let's see. Oh, they were going to Ravinia. So they sit
Ravinia
down.
is a music venue in Chicagoland. For
Right.
those of you who are listening to this from Singapore.
Right. Okay. So what do I do? I look at the card and I go, hi, Mrs. So-and-so. How are you today? Yeah, it's good to see you. You're looking terrific. But how was that concert you went to at Ravinia? Was it good? Oh no, it got rained out, and now you're into a whole conversation that has nothing to do with hair, which is awesome because they're discussing their personal life with you.
Right.
You don't want to discuss, and speaking of personal lives, you don't want to discuss negative things with them, either with them or with yourself. Don't discuss your private lives with them.
Even with yourself. This kind of goes into the next discussion that I wanted to have, because I think that a lot of beginning hairdressers, and there's such a huge fallout with beginning hairdressers. It's they say the statistics that I throw around and that I've heard is that only 5% of hairdressers actually make it to the 5th year in the industry after graduating beauty school.
You're absolutely right. When I went to beauty school, I remember we had this teacher, and he said, look around the room. He said, there are 30 of you in the room. 6 of you will be hairdressers. The rest of you will be spaghetti servers. That was his. Yeah.
A very nice guy, but not really that nice, but totally.
He was making a point.
Yeah, he was making a point and was probably correct. It might have been fewer than 6.
Right.
Yeah. So, so if that's the case, how do we help struggling hairdressers get over their confidence issues using things like NLP?
Right.
Other than this, because getting them to even say this script or to be in this mindset might be difficult.
Right.
How do we get them to take on the ideas of being a higher level stylist so they can engage right away, maybe even in the beauty school level, that they can start to think like an advanced hairdresser right away?
Well, let's take a lesson from the way their hairdressers are trained in Europe. So one of the things they do in Europe is they go to school for part of the day, and then those that are really serious will work in a salon, and they'll work as an assistant. And for like the first year, they'll sweep up hair. But what happens there? They learn from other stylists, successful stylists, whether they realize it or not, they learn it by osmosis. They're hearing how stylists who are successful talk to their clients. They're hearing how stylists who are successful sell to their clients, how they approach their clients. And they'll start to focus in on 1 or 2 stylists that become their heroes.
Yeah, their mentor.
Or their mentors.
Even from afar.
Right. And then they train them, and then they go through this program for 2, 3, 4 years in some cases, and the salon owner will say to them, we have 1 chair available and we've got 4 assistants. Who wants the chair? Okay, so
it's competitive.
It's very competitive.
Yeah.
But
the rest of you can make spaghetti.
Right, exactly. So basically, it's part of it is on the job training, but then again, it depends on the salon. The other thing I think that should happen is I think that there should definitely be the business aspect of the hair industry in beauty schools. A lot of beauty schools are just interested in training their people so that they pass their exams, so that they get their state money or they get their money, and they have a high turnover and a high rate of success. However, that rate of success later on, like you said, some of those people don't even stay in the business 5 years. So is that successful? Well, yeah, they graduated, they got out of school, they got their cosmetology license, but are they making a living? I made a living, better than a living, being a hairstylist and a salon owner for 30 years. When I was not in school, I was looking at business models.
Right.
And I'll recount a story to you. So it's October, Halloween's coming up, and of course, stylists being as flamboyant as we can be when we want to, they said, oh, we're going to be open on Halloween, so everybody can come dressed up. You don't have to wear all your whites. You can dress up whatever you want. So everybody comes dressed, crazy hair, painted faces, nutty costumes.
Right.
I come in a double-breasted suit, shirt and tie, cufflinks, nice watch, nice ring. They look at me, they go, what are you? I said, I'm a successful salon owner. So you see, my point
You're
being,
everybody's alter ego, right?
It's a mindset.
Yes.
It's a mindset. So success is a funny thing. If you feel that you're not going to be good at something, if you feel that you're not going to make a sale, if you feel that you're not going to do a good service, if you feel that you're not going to be everything that you want to be, that negative thought process will make you successful at failure. Because you've instilled that in your mind.
Right.
Now, it looks like
so it's interesting, that those people that are struggling, they need to be almost taken out of that mindset. So I don't know if to visualize a successful hairdressing career is sort of like, how do you get that person into that next mindset?
Well, very simple. There are mental and physical exercises that you can do that can help produce a positive outlook on situations. So in NLP and even in hypnosis, we give people mantras or exercises to say or do. So I'll give you an instance. If you keep saying to yourself, I'm going to fail this test, I'm going to fail this test, I know I'm going to fail this test, I'm going to fail this test, I'm going to fail, and I know I'm not good at it, I'm going to fail. Guess what?
You're going to fail that test.
But if you say to yourself, I'm going to pass this test, I'm going to do great, I'm going to pass this test, I'm going to do great. What are you doing? You're giving yourself more positive energy, and you're opening yourself up to studying and learning and needing what you need to know in order to do that. Now, there's a very simple phrase that we use in hypnotic language and NLP. And here's the phrase: every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Okay, well, it sounds like a simple phrase, but as we know, there's a little conjecture on this, but it takes 21 to 30 days to change a habit pattern.
Right.
21 days in a row, or 30 days is a full month, 21 days a lunar month, however you want to do it. It doesn't make any difference to me. But if you think and say, well, first of all, if you say something to yourself, then you'll start to think it.
Yes.
If you think it and say it, then it's going to happen. So when we work with people to change habit patterns, or we work with them to change a direction, we want to create a different thought process. Then we have to start training them on how to do it for themselves. So by saying something like this, you say it 10 times before you go to bed. Say it with your eyes open, say it with your eyes closed. If you
every day in every way, I'm getting better and better.
Now, what does that do? When you lay down and put your head on the pillow, and you've all experienced this, and you've had a crappy day at work, or just a terrible day, and you're laying down thinking about that awful day you had, when you finally do get to sleep and you wake up in the morning, you wake up in a not so good mood because you went to bed thinking about all the negativity. Okay. If you say to yourself, every day in every way I'm getting better and better 10 times, and the easiest way to do that, if you lose count, is just hold your fingers and just on the bed next to you, just tap like, every day in every way I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way I'm getting better. And just do that. With each phrase, you finish the phrase, each phrase. Say it fast, say it slow. Say it at least 10 times before you go to sleep. When you get up in the morning...
You're saying this in your mind.
You can say it in your mind. You can say it out loud.
Okay.
You can do it however you want, as long as you say it. At least 10 times. If you want to say it 20 times, 30 times, 100 times, that's fine, but at least 10 times when you go to bed. When you get up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror. Your hair all crazy, whatever, brushing your teeth every day, every way. Say it 10 more times. If you want, through the day, if you have a break, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath,
Yeah.
and say it again.
Right. I've heard about these kinds of things having dramatic changes on people.
It will have a dramatic change on your outlook,
Right.
because what it starts to do is you believe what you're saying, and you're saying what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes from here to here.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And now you're fully immersed in a positive flow of energy. Now,
Yes.
when you're positive,
Mm-hmm.
based on mirroring neurons, okay, your customers are going to pick that up. Now, as a customer, wouldn't you rather be with a happy stylist than a stylist that's like, I got to work today, and I'm working till 8 o'clock. My first 2 clients were late. What does it have to do with them? I mean, am I telling you?
Right,
It's
right,
the guy.
right.
I mean, it's like, okay, so they were late. Big deal. Don't put that weight on your next customer. If somebody comes in late, gee, I'm sorry you're late. You finally made it here, didn't you? Yeah, great. So happy to see you. Nod your head, yes. What are they going to say? Relieve them of the trauma and the stress of trying to explain to you, I'm sorry I was late, I was caught in traffic, I was this, I was that, I was this. There was an accident down the street, there was a fire over there, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it happens.
Brian, this is great. So if a salon is listening to this and they want to bring you in as a sales trainer,
Right.
would you come in and teach your course for a day? I know you have like a full day course where you train the entire staff on how to sell more products, sell more services.
Right.
How could people reach you?
Well, they can call me at my telephone number.
Okay,
The
I'll
easiest
put
way.
it in the.
So we can put that in. But
Yeah.
I have a website or email address. The email address is focusbdg@sbcglobal.net.
All right, fantastic.
So they can reach me that way.
Brian Gilbert, thank you so much for coming in.
A pleasure.
I really appreciate it, and thanks for being on T. Gordon Salon Talks.